Hi everyone, I'm Amy from Cakes with Faces and welcome back to my Japlanning series of tips and advice to help you plan your trip to Japan. And today I'm talking about day trips from Tokyo. Now, day trips are a great way to see a different side of Japan, especially if you're staying in Tokyo the whole time. You can see what it's like outside the city, and I've often found they can be the highlight of your trip. So today I've got 8 ideas for day trips from Tokyo, and then at the end I'll tell you about a train pass that you might find useful. I've tried to keep all the trips within an hour or two of Tokyo, so you're not spending your whole day on the train. And if you've already been to Japan, tell me in the comments which day trips you've been on and whether you'd recommend them. Before I start, if you find my videos helpful, have a look at my designs on cakeswithfaces.co.uk. Every order helps support my channel and helps me make more new things and more videos like this one. There's worldwide shipping to any country. My other Japlanning videos are all together in a playlist on my channel, and there's new Japan videos every Thursday if you want to subscribe. Now let's get started. First up, we've got Mount Takao, which is a mountain less than 1 hour from Tokyo by train, and the train to get there is only 390 yen each way. I couldn't believe how cheap it is. Now, this is quite a popular day trip among people who live in Japan, but it's less well known by foreigners, and I really enjoyed it, probably more than Mount Fuji. It's one of my favourite day trips. Now, to go up the mountain, there's a cable car or a chairlift. I went on the chairlift because it's more fun, or you can hike. There's a choice of trails, some are more difficult than others, and you see different things along the way. I took the chairlift up and then hiked back down. It's a fairly long walk, but it is more of a walky type hike than actual mountain climbing. I wouldn't have been able to do it if it was. There was a part where we were basically walking through a stream on stepping stones, and I was kind of scared when I saw that because I thought it was going to be really slippery, but that actually turned out to be the best part. We went on a suspension bridge, there was a waterfall and a little temple that felt really hidden and mysterious, and most of the way we were sort of walking through the forest, so it was really peaceful. And I've heard it's really beautiful in the autumn with all the fall colours. There's a video about it on my channel. In fact, there's videos about a lot of the places I'm going to mention, so I'll put the links in the description for you. You can get to Mount Takao using your Suica card, that's your regular train pass, or there's a discount package available from Keio Railways that includes the train there and back and a pass for the chairlift or the cable car. Next up is Mount Fuji, and of course lots of people want to visit Mount Fuji when they go to Japan. They want to go and see Fuji-san. You can do it as a day trip, or you can stay overnight at a ryokan, that's a traditional Japanese hotel, and lots of them have onsen, hot spring baths. When I went on a coach trip. It was my first trip to Japan and I was worried about getting lost. I didn't know how much English was going to be at the station, so I didn't want to get stuck somewhere and not be able to get back. As it turns out, there was nothing to really worry about because there's loads of English signs at the stations, but I didn't know that then. While I did enjoy it, I'm not really a fan of coach trips. You're on someone else's schedule and you have to go around with a big group of people all together. So if I went again, I'd definitely go independently on the train, but there are lots of organised trips if that's what you want. The first thing to decide is whether you want to go up Mount Fuji or if you want to see a view of Mount Fuji, because when you're on the mountain, you can't see it. And remember, it is often cloudy, so it is quite difficult to get a good view. There's quite a lot of options. There isn't really one definitive trip. You can get good views from the Fuji 5 Lakes area and Lake Kawaguchiko. There's also Hakone, which has lots of onsen, hot springs. There's a national park and Lake Ashi, where they have regular sightseeing boats, but they also have pirate ships and swan boats. If you have a Japan Rail Pass, you can use that to get there. Otherwise, there's various ticket packages that can save you money. You can buy them from the station when you're there. All the details are on japanguide.com, which is a really useful site, not just for Mount Fuji, but for all of these day trips. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, it tells you about tickets and how much they cost and which train lines you need to take to get to places. It's really good. Next is NIKKO, which is north of Tokyo. There's some elaborate, quite fancy looking shrines. They look really different to most you'd see. They're so detailed. There's also a national park, Lake Chuzenji, and some waterfalls. Now, I haven't been to Nikko. The train there is a bit more expensive, more than 390 yen, and it's a long-ish trip. So I've always chosen to go to other places instead. The part I really wanted to see was the Kigon waterfall, which looks beautiful, but you have to take the train there and then there's quite a long bus ride to see it, and it ended up being a bit much. So check that before you go, because not everything is necessarily that close together. But there is a lot to do, so you could stay overnight and do 2 days there and maybe go to an onsen. And I've heard it's really beautiful in the autumn with the autumn leaves. You can get discount passes for the train from Tobu Railways. Just search for Nikko Tobu Pass. Next is Kamakura and Enoshima, which is a really good day trip. Enoshima is a seaside town with an island to explore, and Kamakura is known as Little Kyoto because it has lots of temples and shrines. They're really close together, so you can go to both in one day. I went to Enoshima in the morning and then Kamakura in the afternoon. When you get to Enoshima, there's a bridge right by the station, so you can walk across to the island. On the island, there's a lighthouse called the Sea Candle with an observation deck. There's a kind of touristy street with lots of street food, and all around there's lots of little restaurants and ice cream. So you can walk around the island. There's some caves that are kind of small but also kind of fun. And on the mainland there's also an aquarium and a beach. From there you can get the train to Kamakura, which is known for its big Buddha statue and lots of temples and shrines. I really like this one, Tsurugaoka Hachimangu, which has some gardens and a lake, and it was just really nice to walk around. But my favourite part is the bamboo garden at Hokokiji Temple, which in my opinion is better than the famous one in Kyoto. It is smaller, but it's much less crowded, and you get to walk on stepping stones going right through the bamboo, instead of in Kyoto you're kind of on a path with fences. So it's just really atmospheric, standing amid all the really tall bamboo with all the rustling leaves, and it's so peaceful. I really liked it there. So if you want to go to Kamakura and Enoshima, there's a discount train package for tourists from Edaki Railways called the Enoshima Kamakura Free Pass. Next is Shibamata, which is on the northeast edge of Tokyo. It's a retro style town. A Japanese TV series was filmed there, and you can get lots of street food and snacks. You can get things like senbei, rice crackers and mochi. There's a temple, and you can walk to a river that's got a really wide open floodplain. So it's sort of a relaxed, chilled place for an afternoon out, and it's only half an hour from central Tokyo. It's quite an easy place to go for a couple of hours, and you can use your Suica card to get there. Next, Kawagawa is northwest of Tokyo, and again it's a sort of half-day trip, so you can go for the afternoon. I think of it as kind of similar to Shibamata, but it's more picturesque and it's older, so it's more historic than retro. The main area is the warehouse district, which has really interesting looking buildings made of dark wood. They've got a really particular look. It's a good place to wander around, take pictures, get some street food, there's restaurants, and there's Candy Alley where you can get old Japanese sweets. I went during their festival, so that's why it looks so busy. That's in October, but there is a festival museum, so you can see the floats if you're there at a different time of year. Kawagawa is about 30 minutes to an hour from Tokyo, depending which train you take, and Tobu Railways has a discount pass for foreigners, and that's for the fastest train. Next is Yokohama, which is actually Japan's second largest city, but it feels a lot more chilled than Tokyo. When I went, we had a noodle-themed day out. In the morning, we went to the Cup Noodles Museum, which is all about instant noodles, but the only part anyone really cares about is where you get to make your own cup noodle and choose all the toppings and flavourings. Then in the afternoon we went to the Ramen Museum, which isn't really a museum, it's just a load of ramen restaurants where you can try ramen from all around Japan. And we hung out at the Minato Mirai area, which is the port by the sea, and it was just really nice. And there's quite a few other things to do there as well. There's a large Chinatown, there's the Kirin beer factory, there's some Japanese gardens, and there's an area with red brick warehouses where you can go shopping, so you can easily spend the whole day there. There's various different train lines to get to Yokohama. You can just use your Suica card, and it takes less than half an hour from Tokyo. Finally, the Otama Trail. This is a less well-known day trip where you hike along a river in a really beautiful valley to the west of Tokyo. I really wanted to do this last time, but the train to get there is a little bit long and we'd already done 8 hours each way on the train from Tokyo to Sapporo and back, so we weren't really feeling like doing any more long train journeys, so maybe next time. It looks really beautiful. You're in the middle of nature and it looks a bit less touristy than some places. The trail runs from Kori Station to Okutama Station. The whole thing's 8 kilometres long, but there's a couple of other stations in the middle, so you can start anywhere you like. You don't have to do the whole thing. So you're walking along the river in a valley, and along the way there's bridges, there's an abandoned ryokan apparently, some waterfalls, and there's a dam which has the longest fish ladder in Japan. Who wouldn't want to see that? And you finish the trail in Okutama, which is known for wasabi farming. So I was hoping there'd be lots of wasabi flavoured things like wasabi ice cream. And I think you can go on a tour of a wasabi farm. The start of the Otama Trail's about an hour and 40 minutes from Tokyo. You have to change trains to get there. So if you've been, tell me what it was like and if it's worth it for next time. Also, I just wanted to mention, if you have a Japan Rail Pass and it's still valid when you're in Tokyo, it's surprising how quick it is to get to the next couple of stations along the line. So you can go on some day trips to some places that are a bit further out. So you could go to places like Odawara Castle, there's some onsen towns you can get to, and the Izu Peninsula, which is somewhere I'd really like to explore. There's a trail where you can go along and see 7 waterfalls along the way. And I always love waterfalls. If you're staying in Tokyo for your whole trip, you probably don't need a JR pass, but if you've got one and it's still valid when you're in Tokyo, you might as well make the most of it and go on some day trips. And finally, I've got another train pass that might be useful if you want to go on several day trips, but you're not getting the full Japan Rail Pass. It's called the Tokyo Wide Area Pass. It's valid for 3 consecutive days and it's just over 10,000 yen. You can go on as many trains as you want in the wider Tokyo area. If you look up Tokyo Wide Area Pass, it tells you which lines it's valid on. You can go to all the neighbouring prefectures around Tokyo. So that includes Nikko, some ski resorts in the wintertime, Mount Fuji, Yokohama, the Izu Peninsula and the Bozo Peninsula. So I hope you found that useful. If you've been to Japan, tell me in the comments which day trips you've been on and if they were any good. If you want to see my other Japanning videos, they're all in a playlist on my channel and there's new videos every Thursday. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.